Are you searching for some of the best places to travel in Argentina? Well, you've come to the right spot. Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. This week, as I promised last week, we are continuing our list of the top places to visit within Argentina. And there are 8 total on our list. Last week we went over 4, and we talked about Buenos Aires, Cordoba, the Jujuy region, and Mendoza, the wine area. So if any of those sound interesting to you and you haven't watched the video, definitely after this one, go below, find the first video, this is the second video, and check it out. You won't be disappointed. Just like this video, I give a really brief overview of each location. I do plan on the future of doing more in-depth videos of each location, but for the purposes of these 2 videos, it's just a high level, very general description of each location. All right, if you're ready for me to get into today's list of places in Argentina, then go below, give me a like, and let's go. The first one on our list today is going to be El Calafate. And I absolutely love El Calafate for a few reasons, the landscape and the places to visit, but also because I went with my brothers and we had such an amazing time. They came down to visit for a week and we spent a few days down in El Calafate. That was the only trip we took outside of Buenos Aires, and it was perfect. It was so amazing. It's one of my top trips. So I definitely think it's an amazing place for you guys to visit. I'm for sure gonna do an entire video just on El Calafate, but today, just a high level overview. So when you get there off the plane, you're going to notice that's very dry and very flat. But as you start actually driving towards El Calafate, the city, you're going to start seeing mountains, and you'll even start seeing Lago Argentino, which is a huge lake there. So the landscape there is really gorgeous. And it's hard to talk about El Calafate without also talking about El Chalten, and that is a small town just about 2 hours drive from El Calafate. But normally when people visit one location, they visit the other as well because they are so close. And El Chalten is the location of the Fitzroy Mountain, which has been made famous by the Patagonia logo. So if that sounds interesting to you, or if you enjoy hiking, then you should definitely check out El Chalten when you're in El Calafate. We actually did a day trip from El Calafate to El Chalten. So we drove for 2 hours, and then we went on about a 5-hour hike, I believe it was, up to see Fitzroy. And then we hiked back down and drove back down to El Calafate. And it was a perfect day trip. It was really good. We were super tired, but it was definitely worth it to go. So I still recommend, even if you only have one day to do it, you should still go. But in my opinion, the absolute highlight of the El Calafate area is going to be the Los Glaciares National Park. And that is right. They have a national park of huge glaciers, and you get very up close and personal with them. It's absolutely amazing. I highly recommend it. I personally feel like it's one of those places that you have to do when you're in Argentina. They're absolutely synonymous with Argentina, and they're absolutely gorgeous. The pictures that I'm probably showing on the screen right now cannot even do it justice. It was amazing to see in person. And then we also had the opportunity to actually hike on a glacier. So we put crampons on our shoes. And we were able to walk around the glacier. It was about an hour hike on the glacier. And that was an amazing experience. And I highly recommend that if you're going to be in Argentina. Definitely head down south, go to El Calafate, and just enjoy everything nature has to offer. All right, next on our list is going to be Bariloche. And you might have heard of Bariloche. It is Argentina's lake district. So there's lots of gorgeous lakes in the area, lots of gorgeous woods. It's a beautiful location. And honestly, the scenery in Bariloche with the mountains and the lakes, it could easily rival that you see in Switzerland. It's that beautiful. There are many places to stay in Bariloche, but if you're in the mood for a splurge, we stay at the Xiao Xiao or the Yao Yao, depending on where you're located, how you say it. But the location was gorgeous. The hotel is in the absolute perfect lakeside location. The food is amazing. My favorite were they had some trout empanadas, and it was trout from a local river, so it was so good. Highly recommend the Xiao Xiao if you're going to Bariloche. But overall, Bariloche is an amazing place to go if you're wanting to soak up nature. So there are gorgeous lakes for you to kayak or swim in. There's some really good forest for you to either hike in or you can take a bike. And of course, there are some mountains that you can ski down in the winter months. So it really is just kind of a nature lover's playground. And if that's something that sounds good to you, then definitely head over to Bariloche and spend a few days. Friends, we are at our third one for this list, and we're going to go way down south. And for the fourth one, we're going to go way up north. So if that sounds interesting to you, be sure you stick around to the fourth one. But for a third one, again, we're going to go down south to the southernmost point in Argentina that's closest to the South Pole. There is a point in Chile that is closer to the South Pole, but in Argentina, Ushuaia is it. And I just gave it away. We're going down to Ushuaia, and Ushuaia is freaking amazing, you guys. It's a beautiful location. Again, it's so far south. We went in the middle of summer and we had thick jackets with us. It was really cold still. So if you're planning on going in the wintertime, pretty much the only thing you can do, I think, is ski. And Ushuaia is known as El Fin de Mundo because it's the end of the world. And I can tell you, it really does feel that way when you're in Ushuaia. You just have this feeling that nothing really exists past the ocean except Antarctica, and it's just really, really cool to experience. And in Ushuaia, there's so many activities you can do. We actually weren't even able to do everything in the 3 days that we were there, but there are cold and windy boat rides you can take to tour around Ushuaia. There are penguins you can see in their natural habitat. There is lots of hiking available on the mountains there with gorgeous, gorgeous views. There is unlimited crab meals. I cannot tell you how much crab I had when we were in Ushuaia. And my personal favorite were the crab empanadas. So, so, so delicious. Ushuaia is such a cool place. I definitely recommend that you guys go. Again, you are as close to Antarctica as you can possibly get in Argentina. In fact, all of the cruise ships, the cruises that go down to Antarctica, they leave from Ushuaia. So there's going to be a lot of people there that you'll meet that are getting on a cruise ship or just got off a cruise ship because that's where they all come from. We didn't get to take an Antarctica cruise, but maybe next time. But in all seriousness, guys, Ushuaia is amazing. I can't recommend it enough. And it really does give you a different perspective of Argentina. I feel like all these locations do, but Ushuaia is just so different. So I'm really, really glad that we had the chance to go there. All right, for our fourth and final one on my favorite places to travel within Argentina. So it's going to be 8 total if you've watched both videos. And that's going to be Iguazu. So again, we're going way up north. We went from closest to Antarctica to the border of Brazil. And that's part of what makes Iguazu unique is because it's a huge series of waterfalls and they border both Argentina and Brazil. So you can actually cross over into Brazil and see the waterfalls from that side as well. You can definitely do Iguazu in just a few days. What we did was we flew in again on Thursday evening and we flew out on Sunday morning. So we had 2 full days to actually tour the waterfalls, and that was more than enough time. So you don't need to be there much more than 2 or 3 days if you are kind of tight on time. It's definitely a place where you can see everything that you want to see in 1 or 2 days. But I really enjoyed the waterfalls from the Argentina side. It was really amazing to have that panoramic view, and they had so many walkways where you could climb right next to the water. You've got water rushing right next to you, and you could climb up really high. There were lots of walkways, different areas to go around and see different angles. And we probably spent about 4 or 5 hours literally just walking on all their walkways they had made and just looking at the waterfalls from different angles. So if you enjoy waterfalls or just nature in general, then definitely you're going to enjoy Iguazu. And as a side note, I know there are some people out there that also watch the channel for my Angola information. And one thing that I thought was really cool about the Iguazu area was it felt like Angola to me a little bit. The ground was a little bit of that red dirt coloring that is so infamous in Angola, and the scenery was just very tropical. It was just really cool because it almost made me feel like I was back in Angola just a little bit, with the weather and the humidity and the scenery, the landscape and everything. So I thought that was pretty cool. So that wraps up my list of my top 8 places to travel within Argentina. Again, be sure you watch last week's video if you missed that one. So total, it was 8 places. Each of these 8 places is so unique and so different that I really think that you have to see as much as you can before you leave Argentina, because they just bring a different perspective, they offer different foods, and they just have a different way of living in each location that I think is awesome to experience. And you really just can't get to know a country by just going to one place. If you just go to Buenos Aires, it's so different than other areas. And the more you travel around and get to know different areas, I really feel like that's when you really get to know the country. So happy traveling, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.